Welcome back everyone to the third installment of the Disturbing Video Games Iceberg. Today we'll be taking a look at Tier 4 on the list. I hope you're all excited for this one. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to leave a like and subscribe. Along with that, please let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I'm new to this kind of video format, so if you guys have any feedback or suggestions that you believe could make the video better, please let me know. But without further ado, here we go. Wow. We're already off to a great start here. Oramiya Middle School Shooting is a game where you control a girl that shoots up her school. That's pretty much it. You start out with a .22 caliber rifle and a 9mm automatic pistol. Over the course of the game, you can collect money to buy more guns. The game features a very unknown game mechanic known as sprinting, and sprinting will reduce stamina. However, reduced stamina means less precise shots, so sprint wisely. Or don't. Please don't play this game. Yet another game that takes place in a school, yet even more violent somehow. Splatter School is a 2D side-scrolling game. The player takes control of a high school student named Jessica. When Jessica decides to take an after-school nap in a classroom, for some reason, instead of just, I don't know, going home, she's woken up by a fire alarm. Frightened, she heads outside to see that her classmates have been eaten by monsters. She only has a box cutter handy on her and she must escape her school. The game is incredibly gory, featuring gore in almost every scene of the game. But what's even worse is the game's massive emphasis on how the player will take damage. When Jessica takes damage, she will lose an article of clothing until she is completely naked. And the game over screen is, yeah. Peret-em-Heru, or For the Prisoners, is a survival horror RPG. The game takes place in Egypt in the ancient year of 1998. The player follows Ayuto Asaki, a high school graduate who's visiting Egypt with 3 of his friends. Their tour group crosses paths with one Professor Tetsuya. He explains to the friend group that they have just found an underground ruin underneath the Great Pyramid of Giza and offers these random kids a tour of a lifetime. What he fails to mention is that he's recruiting them out of necessity, as the ruins are booby-trapped. According to tvtropes.org, here's some of the content in the game. Rin, a 9-year-old girl, lies her way into accompanying a tour group with her parents. Rin will suffer the most brutal death in the game if you are not careful. Anyone can die. The game starts off with 11 living members, but it can get as low as 2 members if you aren't careful. One of the characters attempts to sexually harass and pape characters. I recommend steering clear of this game. Dead of the Brain, or more commonly known as the Nightmare Collection, as there are 2 games in the franchise, are plot-driven adventure games with scripts made from the 80s genre films that were stitched together into this franchise. The player witnesses the story through the character Cole. Cole receives a call from Dr. Cougar one night. The doctor has created a reanimating serum and requests that Cole come witness the first test subject. As you can guess, the serum works completely fine and the game ends with them restoring a dead cat, and the cat living a happy life. No, I'm just kidding. The whole thing goes predictably wrong. The cat attacks the 2, which causes them to run to a nearby graveyard, which is luckily right behind the basement lab. The doctor accidentally breaks his serum on a gravestone, and now zombies have sprung up. Who could have ever seen that happening? Necronomicon is a point-and-click adventure game developed in 2000. The game is based off of H.P. Lovecraft's works. It takes place in 1927, following William Stanton. The game starts in Providence, Rhode Island, when William is home alone and hears a knock on the door. When he investigates, he finds his friend Edgar. He gives William a metallic pyramid and tells him to never give it to anyone, not even Edgar himself, even if he asks for it. After a while, there's another knock at the door. This time, it is Dr. Eggleton, who asks William to talk to Edgar, so he can see if Edgar needs to be committed for insanity. The player then embarks on a grueling 30-hour story to find out about what truly is happening to Edgar. I say grueling because this game has mostly negative reviews on its Steam listing. Not only that, but it's a point-and-click game. I don't know many people who are willing to play point-and-click games, and I don't know anybody who's willing to put 30 hours into a fucking point-and-click game. Towelket, an abbreviation for towel and blanket, is a Japanese RPG franchise released in 2008. The game features very happy-looking characters and visuals mixed with blood and gore, and strange atmospheres. This creates a very weird structure in the game, where the game feels like you shouldn't be taking it too seriously, and then it pulls this weird shit out on you, and I just don't know what to think of it. Roly Poly's Nanakorobi Yoyoki and Roly Poly's World Tour are in no way very disturbing on their own or offensive. Both are games targeted at children in order to help educate them. The games teach things such as the alphabet. I believe the reason it maintains a spot so far down on the list is the Roly Polies themselves. The models of them look like Frankenstein's monster, as if different assets of the game were randomly pulled and used on the character models to create them. It just looks so disturbing. The story of Kamikuishiki Village is a satirical resource management video game released in 1995. In the game, the player must take control of Shoko Asahara, who is the leader of the oh shit, I gotta look this up in Google Translate.
Omu Shinrikyo.
Omu Shinrikyo. Okay, there we go. Shoko Asahara, the player, is the leader of the Omu Shinrikyo cult, and the player is tasked with managing the cult's operations. The goal of the game is to carry out the 1995 Tokyo subway sarin gas attack. The attack was an act of domestic terrorism in which the cult of the same name released sarin gas, an extremely toxic gas, on 3 lines in the Tokyo metro during rush hour. In this attack, 13 were killed and 5,500 were injured. The cult was well known for using sarin gas prior to this act of domestic terrorism. During this act, however, Asahara was taken into custody. In the game, the player has 2 possible endings. They either carry out the attack, which is the good ending, and the second ending, or the bad ending, ends with Armageddon ending the world. Irisu Syndrome is a Japanese puzzle game starring a bunny girl named Irisu Hyoko. The game has many colorful shapes falling down in a Tetris-like field. The goal of the game is to make each of the colorful shapes disappear and score points. The story involves 4 university students on a camping trip. Each time you complete a puzzle, the game will unveil more about the story. As they venture into the forest, it gets more and more dangerous for them. And to be honest, that's all I can find about this game. It's hard to find any more information. Utahonotatari was a pain in the ass to find out about. The only post I can find about it is on the subreddit r/creepygaming. A post created by the OPU/TraceWyvern created a post that said this: "Does anyone know the name of this Japanese horror game? Similar to Misao or Yumeniki, I believe it's called something Curse, but I could be wrong. It's a 2D game, and it looks like an RPG Maker style game. You play as a girl and you walk around a mansion where you have to avoid giant monsters that take up the screen. You search for clues which take the form of creepy pictures, and the imagery gets more disturbing as you progress. You eventually end up in a basement which is jam-packed with a ton of unmoving monsters, and you retrieve an item which causes a giant fleshy statue to start chasing you around the mansion. You run out of the mansion and end up in a really foggy forest. In the forest, the only way to go is north, and I didn't manage to play the rest of the game. Do any of you guys know what game I'm talking about, / have you played it?" There was one comment made by the OP linking to an Imgur page showing screenshots of the game, and eventually it was found. Okay, first off, I want to say, goddamn Sakusaku Daigoutou returns. before I even get into this game, I was expecting some kind of horror game because most of the games before this were horror, and the only one that was porn was Splatter School. And while doing research in the middle of school, I found a website with some screenshots for the game. Interested, I clicked on them and boom, full frontal nudity, god fucking damn it, in class. Other than that, there's not much I could find about this game. Most websites I searched just state the same thing, a hentai-themed action game played from a top-down perspective. Detectivus Scitus is an action fantasy RPG made in RPG Maker 2000 and released in 2005. The game is completely in Latin. From what I could understand from Google Translate, the game follows a man named Jupiter, I think. A man named Pluto has just consumed another human being and shows no remorse for his action. This excites the head of the ancient world of gods so much that he gives in to a bet. The bet being that without influence, he is supposed to get a mortal to help someone that they don't know. I'm not quite sure on anything else in this game. Nanashi no Game follows a college student attending Nanto University in Tokyo. An urban legend starts to spread about an RPG game for the fictional twin-screen gaming system. Anyone who plays the game and doesn't beat it in 7 days will die. You know, this kind of reminds me of a movie, except it was about a video instead of a game. Anyways, the player began playing the cursed game sent to them by their classmate, Odaka. Odaka's girlfriend requests the player to go to his apartment, where Odaka is found to have mysteriously died of drowning with his twin screen in his hand. He was just trying to get that grind in, let's be honest. The next day, Odaka's girlfriend dies on the subway, having received the game 6 days before the player. The game follows the player after this on a strict time limit to complete the game with the little amount of time they have remaining. Gingiva is an RPG Maker game created by my former selves. From how it appears, it is a sequel to the first game the developer made, Middens, as it has several reappearing characters. The game has the player take control of Gingiva, a woman with an old-fashioned wind-up key for her head. Starting off the game, the Holy Mother Most High requests for you, claiming that Gingiva has been slacking off at work, and consequently throws her in prison. In the prison cell, Gingiva meets a disembodied mouth who aids in her escape. Gingiva must now escape this new corrupted world she's been locked into. And that about wraps it up for part 3 of 5 for the disturbing video games Iceberg. I want to thank you all so much for watching. It's truly insane. The first video in the series has already reached 100 views and it's still growing, which is mind-boggling to me. If you guys want to help support me, leave a like and subscribe as it really helps me out a lot. As well, if you believe any of your friends would enjoy this video, please share it with them. It really goes a long way. Finally, please leave a comment down below letting me know what you think about this video and any feedback you have for me. With that being said, I want to give a huge shout out to you/notaskquestions on Reddit for creating this iceberg. And that about wraps up this video. I'll see you all next time.